Prime Minister Roosevelt Scarrett says the Caribbean has to take a strong arm against criminal activities in their own countries. Prime Minister Scarrett was speaking on the heels of recent killing activities in Jamaica as fighting between security forces and supporters of alleged drug dealer Christopher Duda's Coke continues.
We have to take a strong arm against criminal activity in our countries throughout the Caribbean, because we spend too much time and resources dealing with the consequences and implications of those persons, of the actions of those criminals. We are spending millions for national and regional security, things that we should be spending improving infrastructure, creating jobs for our people, ensuring that our children have the technology at schools and at their homes. We have to divert those resources to national and regional security, because if there's no security, people don't feel safe. They won't come, they won't invest in your country, your people would get out of the country, and you would have a totally dysfunctional society. So every one of us, not only the politicians, but the police officers, the customs officers, the public officers, our citizens, we all must play our part.
He says citizens must also give their government the freedom to take certain actions.
Because if a parent sees her son bringing in lots of money at the home, and she knows that her son is unemployed, and she accepts it, she is encouraging that kind of criminal behavior. So we all have to play our part in fighting criminal actions, and we must give the governments the freedom to take the kind of actions that are necessary, because sometimes the actions are not politically popular. The legislation which you have to put in place to strengthen the hands of both the police and the judiciary are not always popular. Some legislation must be draconian in nature in order for us to fight it, because the kind of technology, the kind of approaches the criminals are now taking is beyond the present laws we have on our books. And therefore we have to do catch up in many respects. So what is happening in Jamaica, it is something that all of us have to be mindful of and learn from. We have to take very strong action, and in Dominica, I make no bones about it, we will go after the criminals wherever they are. And we have been going to our parliaments to pass laws to strengthen the existing legislation. We'll be going further to pass some very draconian legislation. And I want to ensure that Dominicans can walk the streets at any time of night or day and not feel concerned about their safety. I want Dominicans to go to the hot springs and to the beach at any time of the day or the morning and not feel that their security is compromised.
Prime Minister Roosevelt Scarrett. Health Coordinator of the East Caribbean Conference of the Seventh-day Adventists, Priscilla Prevost, says a number of the non-chronicable communicable disease could be avoided if the nation takes a decision to eat and live healthy. Dominica is teaming up with other Caribbean countries to observe Celebration Day today.
And if our community, for population, would take in make three simple changes. Those who are smoking should stop smoking. Those who are not yet smoking, do not start smoking. And that we can eat healthy and be physically active, then we can prevent the majority of chronic diseases like hypertension, heart disease, cancer, diabetes, the four major killers here in our Dominican society and in the Caribbean society.
Health Coordinator of the East Caribbean Conference of the Seventh-day Adventist Ministries, Priscilla Prevost. She says the population should avoid totally the things that are harmful and use moderately the things that are good.
The thing is, before, people used to think of nutrition and poor nutrition as undernutrition. So would say, well, okay, we do not see malnutrition in terms of undernutrition as we used to see in the 60s and in the early 70s. But what we are seeing today is overnutrition, and that is a nutritional problem. Once we have so many diabetics, so many hypertensive, so many persons with cancer, this is nutritional related, and therefore wherever we have a high incidence of hypertension and diabetes, we know that we do have nutritional problems here in Dominica.
Health coordinator at the East Caribbean Conference of the Seventh-day Adventist Ministries in Dominica, Priscilla Prevo. Meantime, National Coordinator for the Health Promotion Resource Center in the Ministry of Health, Helen Royer, says one should not wait until they are diagnosed with a disease to take precautions.
But I think your mindset, what you have been cultured into, what you have been oriented to, because we so quickly change. If I were to know tomorrow that God forbid that I'm diagnosed with cancer, my whole lifestyle, we just change so drastically. We just decide I'm going to be drinking water, and you do not have to wait to be diagnosed with diabetes or to be diagnosed with cancer to start looking at your lifestyle. And what we think that is very difficult, in a second, from the day you get your result in your hand, you're diabetic, when you go home, you start to say, I'm not going to take sugar, I'm going to look at the amount of starch I take, I'm going to call healthy lifestyle, I'm going to call a nurse and ask them an advice. And we are saying, if you culture yourself, or those of us who have had the bad habit, it's not too late to start. Just start doing things that you know that is right, and then I think your body has a way of adjusting to that.
National Coordinator for the Health Promotion Resource Center in the Ministry of Health, Helen Royer. Dominica's Health Minister Julius Timothy, in his address to the nation this morning, highlighted the importance of a healthy lifestyle. This year's observance is being held under the theme Healthy Eating, Active Living. Today marks the official start of the 2010 hurricane season. According to reports, the Caribbean could be in for a major hit this fall, with predictions of 40 named storms, 4 of which could become major hurricanes. Cheryl LeBlanc is acting senior meteorological officer.
June 1st marks the beginning of the 2010 tropical Atlantic hurricane season. The latest outlook from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration in the United States expects a very busy season. The outlook released on May 27th predicts as many as 27 named storms, 14 of which will become hurricanes. The NOAA predicts 4 of the 14 to be major hurricanes this year. A major hurricane has winds exceeding 110 miles per hour. This latest outlook depicts more activity than those released in April by other scientists. However, they all indicate an above-average season this year. An average season produces about 11 named storms, with about 6 hurricanes, of which 3 become major hurricanes. Last year, the Atlantic Basin saw a below-average season with only 9 storms named, 3 of which became hurricanes. This was attributed by the presence of the El Niño phenomena in the Pacific. This year's predictions are based on a combination of factors, including the weakening El Niño and the increasing likeliness of a La Nina phase setting in towards the second half of 2010. In a La Nina phase, winds in the upper levels decrease, allowing hurricanes to gather more strength. In an El Nino phase, upper level winds increase, producing strong wind shears, resulting in reduced cyclonic activity.
Cheryl LeBlanc, acting senior Met officer. Meantime, the Dominica Electricity Services DOMLEC says it is fully prepared for the 2010 hurricane season. Public relations officer at DOMLEC, Adina Bellat Valentine, says management has met to put in place the necessary equipments in the event of a storm. She says an emergency number has been set up for electricity faults.
Every year, DOMLEC ensures that it is adequately prepared for the hurricane season. Our management team has already met, and all the managers must guarantee that their various departments have secured all the necessary equipment, materials, and stock has been updated in the event the island is hit by a storm. Our backup equipment, fuel storage, water tanks, and the like, all these have been checked. Our tree trimming exercise, which is a year-round activity, is intensified at this time of year, since we do not want fallen trees or broken branches to affect the supply of electricity in any given area on the island. Our radio announcement highlighting precautionary measures as it relates to electricity will commence airing on all radio stations from June 1 and will run until the end of the hurricane season on November 30. They've also put in place this year an emergency number which persons can call to report electricity faults, and that number is 811, a very simple number, 811.